In this segment, we're going to talk about some of the major mistakes that people make when they're selling a probate property. So let's get started. Um, One of the things that is a major area of concern and ought to be for everyone is understanding the inventory and appraisal process, what it serves and what it doesn't serve. What do we mean by that? A lot of people have too much faith in appraisals, first of all. What an appraisal serves in a probate is two things. One of them is part tax related. It establishes a value as of the date of the decedent died. So the date of death is used as a change in basis. So when someone bought a home 20 years ago, home was probably less expensive. After 20 years, the price rises. And if the people are going to keep the property, there's a tax basis involved with the value at which they're inheriting a property. There are exemptions, and I'm not here to discuss really the tax implications on the property taxes about that. It's more along the line of what use does that appraisal serve in a selling situation. There's very little vetting on a probate appraisal. In most cases, it's going to be a drive-by and a comparable reconciliation. If it goes unquestioned or unvetted, you can expect to have probably a slightly inflated value. But if you are selling an inflated value that doesn't reconcile to the condition, is always going to be a headwind for you. And let me give you an example. So if you have a $500,000 property, the court does not allow you to sell the property for less than 90% of the referee's appraisal. So let's say that they didn't go inside. And let's say, for example, you had a tenant in the property and the house is destroyed inside, but they're acting like somebody lived in it, and they're going to take a quick look at the property. It's like, all right, yeah, this reconciles that, and they throw a number on it. Boom, you get it. You sign the inventory, and now you're stuck with that number. Then you go hire an agent, and the agent says, this is not going to sell for that, and here's why. And now you have to reconcile that value. The best way to avert that is if you think you might sell, even if you don't sell, talk to an agent up front and know if that possibility comes up. The value, getting that number right for the as-is condition is a huge thing to know. The other thing is that when you start sharing the information about what the appraisal came in at with family, they get stuck on that number, and that's always a problem, because if you share with them that number and later you decide to sell and that number doesn't reconcile for the condition, everyone thinks that, no, we're taking that number and anything less than that is your fault. Puts you in a bad spot. So the best value is always the real market value. What would somebody be willing to put risk money up consideration to acquire your property? And that is always the basis. And when you're looking at pricing and you're looking at values, understand they are just opinions as of a date and a time. They really have no marketing impact, and they really don't signify whether there's true demand at that number. Case in point, let's say, for example, you attend an auction. I've attended hundreds of auctions over my career, and I've never seen one auction where the starting bid is anywhere near the final paid price. Have you? Auctions just don't work that way. The way auctions work is they put the number at a super attractive number. Let's say something's worth $100. They'll put it at 60. Now, chances are, you're going to have a lot of people interested at 60, maybe hundreds. Eventually, those people duke it out, and the price rises and rises and rises, and then the crowd thins out. And ultimately, what happens to buyers in auction settings is their need to win. People's common sense will get thrown out of the window, and the need to win will prevail. Now, if you don't understand that pricing is a function of marketing, then you need to really get clear about what the purpose of pricing is. It's not final until someone agrees to part with their money at a certain number. That's when the market is tested, and that's how value gets determined. Value is determined by a buyer and a seller having a meeting of the minds, and that's a process. Because someone threw a number on a document doesn't mean anything. Because I know if I'm buying a property, I only care about the price I'm getting. I don't care how much you're taking a loss on. And that's the way buyers typically view things. So you have to have that buyer's mentality when you're offering something for sale, to have an honest eye about what kind of property you're selling, what condition it's in, and optimism has no place in this. This is not about being optimistic. This is about being realistic. And so if you think that price is something that's firm, and because someone said this is what it is, that's what you're obligated or entitled, even worse, to get, you're going to be sadly disappointed. That's not how it works, and that doesn't serve you at all. Price is a function of marketing. So let me give you a real life example. So recently I had a triplex in Los Angeles in a very high demand area. The probate referee appraised that property at $425,000, and that was after a reappraisal for sale. The first one had expired, and they didn't sell the property. After 8 agents, they came across us. I suggested them this strategy. We had pent-up demand, and part of the way that works is we made sure that the pent-up demand accumulated for 10 days. So we collected offers for a period of 10 days, and then we responded to the ones we felt that were best represented and the way they presented their offers to us. Consequently, we ended up getting over 20 offers. We countered 17, and out of the 17, we thinned that down to a group of 10. And after we got to the group of 10, then we allowed everyone to come and view the property. And we basically had people come in one at a time by appointment. They viewed the property, and then we told them to come back with their highest and best. After that, then we had the final round wherein people submitted their highest and best, and then that whittled down to, I believe it was 4. And after we got to those 4, then we did another best and final above a much higher number than everyone thought. Ultimately, we took a $399 list price for marketing to a $425 appraised value, and ended up selling the property for $542,000. That is how you use price as a marketing tool. The estate had, the previous instances when, as I said, I was the 8th person they'd contacted, and I actually got the job done. Sadly for them, it took them 2 years to find me, but ultimately we connected, and we did good business for them. But the process of communicating how it works and then watching them see it, I made them an extra $75,000 because they thought the house was worth more, and they were right. The thing is, they couldn't get anyone to pay a higher price because they had poor handling of the negotiation, and they had no real marketing strategy from the other 7 people. So we turned that around. We got them to trust our approach, and the more advanced we got, the higher the number became, the happier everyone was. And in the end, the buyer was happy, the seller was happy, and we got them $117,000 premium over their asking price. That is a huge win. Over the appraised value, excuse me. $117,000 over their appraised value because we used price as a marketing tool. So if you're thinking of selling in probate and you think that you're going to be attached to the appraised value, you're making a grave mistake. This is all about creating pent-up demand, not just demand, where supply and demand, buyer meets seller, that kind of thing. Pent-up demand is where you use the market and the constraints of inventory, the lack of inventory, to your advantage, But you have to be willing to be patient enough to go through the process. The reason why we were so successful on that transaction was because, yeah, it took us 2.5 weeks to get, and this was 2.5 weeks after we had finished corralling the offers. It took us 2.5 weeks to get to an acceptance, but in the end, if you made an extra $117,000 over the probate appraisal, would you be happy? You better be, because that's a great number. That's a huge win for the estate. So when you think of pricing, don't think of pricing in absolute terms. It's a subjective thing. But more importantly, think of pricing as a function of marketing. If you take that approach, you're going to do really, really well. We've always done well using that approach for our clients, and we're very good at excelling in taking pricing as a function of marketing. So we hope this helps you. Thank you for viewing our video, and we'd like to meet with you if you are planning on selling. So don't hesitate to sign up right below on the appointment box and or the link, and we would love to meet with you in the future. So thank you very much, and thank you for watching.